Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. We are the weirdos, mister.
Black as night, erase death from our sight. White as light, mighty hectate, make it right.
I myself am strange and unusual. Cast a circle, spark some incense, and grab a cup of tea, because it's time for the Cousins Coven podcast. I'm Sharon.
And this is Wendy. Welcome back to the Coven, you guys. We're excited to have you here as always.
Yay! And today we're going to be talking about lots on the agenda. We're going to be talking about witching on a budget, doing some astrology talk, magic talk, paranormal talk. So we're excited.
Yeah, very much so.
I know you said you had some updates for us. So what are your updates?
Yeah, so I just have an update on Skinwalker Ranch, which, you know, I've been obsessed with since we did the episode. I found out that the History Channel has a new kind of reality documentary type show about Skinwalker Ranch and the new owner and all of the tests that they're doing.
Oh, I wonder, does it feel like pretty honest?
Yeah, I thought that it was really honest. They brought in, they already had their own team. So it's like a team of security guards and doctors and technical people. And they had all this equipment set up. And I guess the owner's name is Brandon Fugel. He's kind of this owner of Coldwell Banker, like the real estate company. So he's an owner of that company and is kind of this real estate mogul. And so he was approached to purchase this by, what's that dude's name?
Bigelow?
Bigelow. He was approached by Bigelow to buy this. And Brandon Fugel, he didn't have any ideas about the paranormal. Really, he didn't believe in any of it. He wasn't a believer. But then
really?
when he
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm surprised he was drawn to the place.
Yeah. So I don't think he would have done it, but it was an investment in his mind. And so when he got the property, he was never given any of the research that Bigelow did. All of that was kept by the government.
So do you think he went into Skinwalker Ranch not knowing the legend of Skinwalker Ranch?
No, because he's from the area. He is from that. I think he's from Salt Lake City. So, I mean, he's in Utah. And if you're in Utah, yeah, he's just a skeptic. So he didn't really believe in the paranormal. He didn't believe the stories. So he spent, I think he said 6 months out there before, like, actually living on the ranch, getting to know the ranch, getting to know the people, on his team and figuring out strategies of how to, do what he needed to do to figure out what's going on in the ranch. And mainly his goal was to get to know the local people and to see how the phenomenon in the area is kind of affecting the people.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that was his goal, that he wants to make sure, is there something radioactive happening on the ranch? Is there something bad happening on the ranch that can be explained? And if there is it something that can be fixed? Is it, because it's definitely affecting all the people in town. I mean, there's a higher chance of getting cancer there and all of these kind of things. And so I did find out that there was some radioactive type testing in that area in the 50s, but the phenomenon that they have had goes back to the beginning of when people were in that area. So however long ago that was, centuries ago, we're talking like the beginning of time kind of thing. So phenomenons always happened there. But on the flip side of that, nobody really knows what it is. So they ended up bringing, on the documentary, they ended up bringing this guy named, I forget his name. I should have wrote it down. But anyways, he's an astronaut and an astrophysicist, and he teaches classes for a college in Arkansas, I think, or Alabama. And they brought him in kind of not skeptic because he is a believer, but he's been on some other history shows like Ancient Aliens and Curse of Oak Island. And he's kind of this astronaut, and he's a believer in aliens because of things that he's seen. So they thought he would be a good person to bring on so basically he makes them think out of the box and start doing testing, like running all these scientific tests to see where the phenomenon is coming from. And they pinpointed it to an area in the sky above the ranch that's coming from space. So something in space is beaming down energy onto the ranch and to the surrounding area and connecting with something that is underground.
Dang, those are some bold claims. So space beam? I mean, what do you think they're implying?
I think that they believe there are ships or a portal. They did talk about this potentially being an area where portals open up, because they did on the show, they didn't really show too much. Like they showed craft, but they didn't show a portal. What they did show was like,
how dare they not show us this elusive portal?
I know, right? But what they did show us was like, you know, that equipment that we have when we're ghost hunting, and it kind of shows like thermo.
Yeah, like the thermal vision.
Yes. So they had higher tech stuff than even that kind of showed the different rays that are not seen by the naked eye. And that is where things got impressive, because it was like the shield of rays that seemed like it was coming from below and above, kind of mixing together. And they said that the math behind it was kind of the same thing that would create a portal. And they're smart, and I'm not smart with math, so I just took it as face value and believed it. So,
right, that's all I feel like I can do sometimes with these situations.
Right.
Well, that's like, what I don't know. That's how it works.
Yeah. I was kind of looking at their Twitter account, because Skinwalker Ranch has Twitter and Brandon Fugel has a Twitter, and people were just bashing the show, saying that it's just radioactive material under the ground because of testing. And I was like, well, that doesn't really explain everything. I don't think radioactive material would explain why there's ghost activity, why there's, things going on with like UFOs showing up in the area. I don't think that would explain those kind of things away. So.
Yeah. So how many episodes did you say you watched now?
I think there were 10. That was all that they had.
Okay, so you got the first run of this season, I'd say.
Yeah. Watch the whole season.
Nice.
Hopefully it'll come back. They did these special tests, like they were filming for, I don't know, 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
4 months. So it was like, we only got 10 episodes of the 4 months of footage. Who knows what else happened that they didn't show us. I just found it very interesting, because there was a specific incident where a helicopter that was unmarked came, and they had equipment there to show different aircraft in the area, so they knew what was a plane and what was military and that kind of things, because you have to log that kind of stuff if you're a pilot or if you're flying. You have to log that with somebody like aircraft control or something. And so they went in and looked, and there was no information for this particular helicopter that came into the area. And then later on, this Mr. Taylor dude, who was the astrophysicist, went back home, and he was in the military, and he had a meeting with somebody in the military that had approached him. And they said, we're watching the ranch, and we need to keep this kind of hush hush. There's some information that we have gotten from doing past tests, which means everything that Bigelow did, and they want to work together, but not let the public know really that the government is monitoring something strange that's going on, and they believe what's going on there.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that all of this is just like on a network television show. I need to see it for myself to really to soak it all in. Do you think they're doing it in style of like Ancient Aliens, where it's like it's just stretching whatever agenda they have, because I feel like sometimes Ancient Aliens doesn't really fact check. They just are here to make like fun and a good show.
No, I think this one's a lot different than Ancient Aliens. I think that these people are fact checking, and they are trying to get down to the bottom of what's going on there. And you can tell from some of their faces that, especially the security guards and stuff, they're like, what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm. That sounds interesting. What did you say it was called again?
Skinwalker Ranch.
That's it. Very clever.
I think so. Yeah, let me just make sure, but I think it's like, I'm just going to look it up really quick.
I feel like this is something that's a big title. Like, wouldn't you want it to be Skinwalker Ranch, semicolon, some kind of thing?
Oh, it's just called, yeah, it's just called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay. There we go. The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah. So they've aired all the episodes. Yeah. Even it was interesting too, because they showed, not to give everything away, but at the end of the show, they had a meeting with the Attorney General of Utah, who was also interested in the stuff that was going on there, because he thinks that it could be some sort of threat to national security in some way. So, of course, the government wants to get involved because of that, because they want to make sure to protect the people. You can't just, I could bash the government all day long, don't get me wrong, but they're also there in our interest, our best interest sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'll have to watch that show to really catch up to these latest, like, I don't know, these new people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you like this guy who bought it? Are you kind of glad it's in his hands, that he's sharing the information?
That dude's got a lot of money. And I think that if he's wanting to throw his money at it and get the information out to the public, that's where I'm going, is that he wants to give information out. At first he didn't really want to, because he didn't believe in it. But now that he is a believer and he's seen things, he wants to get the information out so that we can make our own opinions. You know? That's
cool. That's kind of like all I could really hope for from anyone who has a paranormal property, is that they either make it like open to the public, they're sharing their findings, they're keeping the legends and these spirits alive in a sense. Like, I love that when it's not just squashed, you know what I mean? Like, let's talk about it. Let's share it. So I wonder what kind of evidence they'll capture on camera, if any, and where it goes from here.
Right. Yeah, it will be interesting. I don't think that this ranch will ever be open to the public just for random people walking around, because it would be too dangerous.
It's just a shame. You can't just go get like a little BRB rental little shack. Like, if they did that would be super awesome. If you could rent these little yurts and go camping, we would go on the waiting list.
Oh yeah, we would go. It's just that there is radioactive material that just keeps popping up in random spots.
That is so
it doesn't
weird.
Stay for very long, right? And it's like it'll be there and then it's gone, and it'll be there and it's gone, and that was what was really weird. And there were that science dude that I was talking about, that Mr. Taylor. He actually got a tumor in his finger that they had to remove later on, months down the road. It just sort of appeared out of nowhere. And there were other people on the staff who also had strange medical things happen.
Yeah. So a lot of weird, creepy synchronicities that are leading to radioactive materials.
Exactly. Yeah. Gross. Radioactive materials. Yeah. And so, and you're thinking, if that stuff is just built up in the earth in that area, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I don't think it's causing all the paranormal stuff that's happening there, but I think that it could be a good explanation for a few things.
I wonder if it's a result of aliens, or the aliens are drawn to it. Or, like, it definitely sounds like a portal hotbed type of place.
Absolutely.
Very, very weird. And there's something that's just like, I'm okay with not knowing. It's just like, it is right. Skinwalker Ranch. It's weird.
Yeah. Bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, right. Well, I am excited to look for that show. I'm going to see if I can get my hands on it.
Yes.
I do want to highlight a new astrology, since by the time this episode comes out, we're going to be in a new phase, and it's going to be Cancer season.
All right.
So Cancers, they are in the 4th house. The date ranges for the Cancer is June 21st to July 22nd, so about a month there. And the symbol of the Cancer is the crab. And so naturally the water is their element. And the Cancer are ruled by the moon. And just throwing this out there, top love matches for Cancer are Taurus and Pisces.
Nice.
So just maybe I need to find myself a Cancer man.
That's right.
Cancer strengths are that they're tenacious, highly imaginative, loyal. They can be emotional, sympathetic, and persuasive. And they are a lot like the other water signs of the zodiac, which are Scorpio and Pisces. So grounded, not so much grounded to reality. They're more guided by emotions and their heart. And they can actually have a hard time blending into the world around them. So I can totally relate to that, Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
They're also emotional, intuitive, and they're considered, I guess, to be really intuitive, and they're really connected to the third eye. And a lot of Cancers are psychic, and they just have this intuition. So a lot of people will like call that out to them, like, "What are you, psychic? Like, how do you know that?" And that's a big connection to being ruled by the moon. And they can come across as maybe prickly, like their symbolism of the crab. You know, they can be standoffish on their first meeting, but once they get to know you, they actually do become like friends for life and really close ally, really loyal. So Cancers sound like really cool badasses. I don't know if I know any Cancer, so I can't
You do.
really. Who's a Cancer?
My sister.
Oh, and she definitely has like psychicness to her.
Yeah.
I feel like.
It's crazy because she was born on June 22nd, and I know 6 other people that were also born on that same exact day that they've just gravitated towards me in my life at different points, and I'm friends with all of them for life.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Like, just knowing your beautiful sister, my cousin, that makes like 100% sense, because she's so much like a Pisces in that spiritual world, very meditative.
Right.
Like, I remember as kids, were listening to like thunder and rain music and like meditating together, and we had rocks on our heads, and this was just like her taking me there. It wasn't me.
Right. I love it.
So that makes so much sense. I love that you know 6 different Cancers. How fun.
I know, right? It's crazy. And all born on the same day. That's what is just really crazy to me. And it's like a lot of them I already knew before my sister was even born. So that was even crazier for me. And then my sister just happened to be born on that specific day.
Would you say that a lot of them have the intuitive characteristic?
Oh, yeah. And very loyal. Yep.
Nice.
Very loving.
I'm glad I read about Cancers, even just a little bit, because, again, I was a very narcissistic Pisces, only learning about myself. So, like, this sounds like a really cool sign. And I shout out to all our Cancer listeners.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. I didn't find any Cancer celebrities. I don't know if I care to today, but that's pretty much all I have on Cancers.
All right. Okay.
All right. So next, I really want to share with you guys some stuff I was looking into on Witch's Bottle. But first, we have a little commercial break.
Hey, witches and paranormal fans. If you're loving these deep dives into magic and the paranormal, check out the Of Witches and Women podcast. Of Witches and Women is a herstory podcast run by our colleague Hannah, and she tells the stories of powerful and magical women through history and folklore. This season, she's telling the stories of Greek goddesses and other ancient Greek women and characters, and we are loving her spin on these fierce women. Of Witches and Women is available on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, so go subscribe after this episode.
So, I don't remember if I've ever actually talked about Witch's Bottle on podcast. There's a part of me that thinks that I have already talked about this, but that's okay. I feel like we can talk about it again. Really?
Yeah.
It might just be something that I'm just like, well, you know of this, you're just researching it, so I just thought maybe I did.
Okay.
But I felt called to talk about it, so I feel like someone out there is going to be making a Witch's Bottle after this. But I kind of want to start by just mentioning like the historical context of the Witch's Bottle and where they kind of come from. There's a lot of talk about them being tied to the folk magic tradition in Europe. And they were buried on someone's property to ward off something and to protect the property. So a lot of times in history, it's written as being kind of a counter curse to a witch specifically. So it's kind of like witchcraft against other people's negative witchcraft. And just kind of neutralizing it and not allowing it to come into the home. I think that there's probably more to it than that. And that's just people who maybe didn't actually practice occult, assuming what other people were doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't know if we always have the right assumptions going on here, but that's the common consensus, is that it was protection and anti-hex type of magic. So a lot of times in a witch's bottle, it's going to be a literal glass bottle. Depending on the time, it's going to be a different type of bottle, a different type of material. You want to have some sort of liquid, some sort of natural substance, and some sort of sharp object. And there's like magical reasons for all of that. So old school witch's bottle, they would use potentially urine, menstrual blood, semen, wine as the liquid. You could also, in modern day times, substitute that for rainwater, moon water, ocean water. You know, you don't have to go for wine or bodily fluids. And then going back to like old school ingredients, you could put like, if you had someone you specifically wanted to ward away and you had access to their hair, nail clippings, or anything off of their body in a sense, you know, that you could take without hurting them, you could put in the bottle. Another good symbolism is to have like red thread, and you could also add herbs like rosemary, and then they would use typically like these long nails, pins and needles to go in there. So when you have the pins and needles, it's supposed to be absorbing any negativity, kind of like penetrating it and then neutralizing it. So it's not like trapping it in the bottle. That idea of the penetration is to like neutralize and evaporate any evil that someone's casting against your home and house, kind of thing. And then the liquid is supposed to drown it. So that's like everything going on in this bottle is to contain, not to contain, but to neutralize the evil that's coming on your property.
Wow.
And a lot of work would go into actually hiding these things. You wouldn't just like leave it on your porch. You're going to want to bury it, maybe in the furthest corner of the property. In some cases, they've been found there. A lot of them would be found like buried underneath someone's like or hearth. So I guess it's like a fireplace. But they, people wouldn't like unbury them until like the whole place was just like getting torn down type of thing. So in Europe, there's been handfuls uncovered and like put in museums and things like that. Apparently, there was a guy who brought one on some sort of like European antiques roadshow. And he was like, I found this bottle. And whoever was the expert to come look at it was like a wine expert. And he was like, oh, I can tell there's wine in here. I'm so curious. Like, I don't think he knew it was a witch's bottle. I just read about the exchange. I didn't get to watch the actual clip. But so he takes like a syringe and he syringes the wine out of the witch's bottle and he drinks it.
What the heck?
And then
there
later,
could have been anything in there.
I think it was like 2 years later on the show, they had an update like, we have the analysis back from that witch bottle we found, and there was urine and wine in there. And it was like, oh man, that's disgusting. And because when he was talking about it, he's like, there's a bit of rust flavor in here, because that's clearly like the pins and needles that are in there.
Right.
And so whoever made it used some sort of poor urine needles. Oh my god, I can't. And then to think about drinking someone's magical bottle, like how disgusting. What kind of juju did he take? I don't know.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of funny. And then in America, there's only been like 7 or 8 witches bottle that is on like history being recorded as found, but that's pretty neat. I guess they have some in Salem, Massachusetts at the museums as well.
Nice.
I kind of think that's a small number. Like, it just seems like more people back in the day would have been doing this. So maybe a lot of them were like unearthed and never reported.
Right. I mean, I think about all the little bottles that I've seen people find on their property. Even when I was a kid, we found little bottles that were buried at the house we lived in. But I don't remember there being anything inside of them. They were just empty.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we were like doing like a cleansing at your friend's house and she was unearthing all
Right.
those little bottles, they weren't witches' bottles, but it was just weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I guess that could be common, just finding remnants of the past.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if we wanted to do something like that in today's tradition, you could look up witches' bottles for today or jar spell magic. And I think universally protection is a good thing to do. If you want to do like you move into a new property, you want to create a witch's bottle for that space, you could do that. You could also do it if you really want to protect yourself from someone, or maybe even help yourself stop some sort of negative habit in your life. You could pour that intention into the bottle, but really the sky's the limit here with your magic. So whatever you think you could use that for, do it. I feel like history and witchcraft is a great launch pad. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's up to us to like keep it going and growing.
Right. And do you think they could be of any size?
I don't know how large you'd want to go, but yeah, I was thinking like maybe largest in my mind was maybe a mason jar. But what were you thinking?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was just wondering if you could use those tiny little bottles, like the little ones that you can find at the Dollar Tree. Yeah.
Oh yeah, why not? Or even like reuse some baby food jars.
Right. Right.
Those things are always so adorable. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like if you're going to do one, I would suggest keeping with the tradition of using some sort of fluid or salt or earth to kind of like neutralize negativity. I think that's really smart. And you could put stuff in there to maybe represent your deity that you're working with. I've seen some witches use currency from the country they're from to put in there, like maybe a penny or something, just to like put for luck. So you could look up a lot of different things and incorporate it into your jar, and then just put that on your property and use that as protection while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was just thinking that oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, I was just thinking I have these two little bottles. One is supposedly with Bigfoot hair, and then I have this other one that has the Constitution in it, like a tiny little Constitution. And I was just thinking, could I make those into a witch's bottle?
I'm just like, wait, you bought Bigfoot hair at some sort of gift shop?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not real Bigfoot hair. It's just funny.
That's funny. Okay, it's like a gag. Yeah. Start looking at all your bottles differently. That could be magic right there. And so it's really fun to think about that. I remember I had this lemonade that has like a happy face on it that I would get at the store, and I would always keep those and use those for like happiness jar spells, which I did with like a combination of honey and lemon and things like that, and put things that had made me think of good memories inside. But the witch's bottle concept, like let's say you bury it on your new property that you just moved into and you like live there for a decade, that thing is still going strong. It's said to only stop really doing its job when it's removed or broken.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I guess you could also put them in the fire, which do not do, because if you're going to put a jar of nails in a fireplace and let it explode, that's just not smart. But that was something that apparently they said witches did in like the 16th century. That's how far back this tradition goes, is the 16th century. So there's a lot to be said from the power of it if it's like this ancient, ritual.
Mm-hmm. Interesting that not a lot in America have been found. I'm betting that they're out there. It's just people probably thought it was trash. Yeah,
or maybe just some bulldozer scooped it up. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think people would be kind of grossed out by it or just throw it away and like, ooh, that looks creepy. Throw that away. It's voodoo. You know how people are.
Right.
They say all these weird things like it's just evil. But yeah, I guess the nails do kind of look gross. And if you were to find something that has some sort of menstrual blood or urine, sure, that's disgusting.
Right. You're like, what is this, semen? A jar of semen? I'm out.
That's probably not hanging out in some museum. Oh my god, can you imagine? We've got a witch's jar with Cotton Mather's semen in it. Like,
I'm actually glad that you talked about this because I didn't know what a witch's bottle was really. I just thought it was just something I could fill up with sand and ocean water and keep on my altar. So I like all the different things that you said.
Yeah, like I think that, yeah, there's many ways to do it. I have some bottles of just ocean water too that I keep. I've never done a combo of sand and the water. Does anything weird happen, or does it get moldy or weird?
I I've only done it once, and I don't remember it getting too yucky. It did start looking murky after a while, so I just threw it out. But
okay, I've only had like one jar smell go gross, and it was like water that I had gotten from a river, and after it had been in the jar for a couple weeks, it had gotten so stinky. It was just disgusting. Yeah. I was like, what was in that river? Okay, that wasn't a good source of water to be jarring.
Right. River water can get a little swampy.
Yeah. So really think about your choices of what you're putting in your jar spells.
Right. Very cool. What a lot of good information.
Yeah, thanks. I had fun looking into the witchy stuff. I know it's been a minute since I've been in the realm, so I had fun with it.
Good. I thought we'd talk about witching on a budget, just kind of going over some things and tips that you could use to do things on a budget. So, I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money, you guys, to be a witch. You can literally find things or make it into kind of a game, going to different places. So, you know, any item that you want to find, like let's say you find an item garage sailing or at a thrift store or whatever, you'll want to cleanse it, make sure that you cleanse it when you get it. But then that item is just like, let's say you buy a cup, for instance, and you want to make it into a chalice. That cup is just a cup until you imbue it with your energy and your intention and make it what you want. So I like the thought, like I use the dollar store, I use the thrift store, I find things in nature, I make things from scratch, I use trash, I find things at garage sales. I kind of, do all these different things to make things the way that I want.
Right. And I think that that's a completely valid way to do it. I do the same thing. I think the important step is the cleansing of the object, and then you're good to go. But it doesn't necessarily have to be brand new to use it and power it for your magic.
Right. And you can even create like art on the object. So let's say you do just get a regular glass that you think is really cool and you got it from the Dollar Tree or something. Paint on it, paint a pentagram on it, draw a pentagram on it, do what you want to it. It's your cup and you can make it awesome.
Right. The dollar store is a great place for budget witchcraft items. And and just a quick little side thing here. We're not implying that you need items to do witchcraft. I know either of us don't believe that. It's just part of the fun thing of being a witch is it comes with gadgets and gizmos aplenty if you want that. And so we're just kind of highlighting when you're doing rituals. A lot of times if you're going to be doing a large summer solstice ritual, you're going to want some candles, you're going to want a cauldron, you're going to want some herbs. Like, we're just talking about the cheap way to get this kind of stuff to get you through doing a ritual or spell items today. So this is just, little tips and tricks I think we've learned along the way. So Dollar Tree, definitely check out the candles. They always have those religious pillar candles, like yellow, blue, red, green, white. I feel like those are always there. And then during the Halloween time, you can find the purple and the black, and it's just perfect.
Exactly.
And then when you were saying, like, don't be afraid to paint stuff there, like, that makes me think of how you can get really cheap picture frames from the Dollar Tree. And you could use those as like scrying mirrors, because they kind of have like reflective. They have cheap mirrors there. You can even paint them black and you have a little scrying mirror.
Yeah, I've been seeing people on Dollar Tree crafters. They've been buying like little wooden blocks and then painting runes on them or burning in runes onto them.
Yes, I would love to get one of those little things. I forgot what they're called. The engraver that you burn wood with.
Yes. Yeah, that thing. I have one sitting I have one sitting next to me, but I can't remember the name of it too.
Okay, well, you definitely should start burning some runes and then putting those in doorways. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think thrift store too is like my favorite go-to for altar items because I love looking at the random like junk aisles essentially where it's just a modge podge of knickknacks and paddywhacks.
Exactly.
Like that's just so fun. And the Goodwill has a lot of really good silver and brass cups and chalices if you want to do that, have your wine out of. They have really good brass and gold like candle holders. I think they have a lot of good stuff that you could use for like god and goddess candle holders and just candle holders in general, which can never have enough.
Right.
Don't even be afraid to like dip into the used candles. Like sometimes I wouldn't say one that was like previously lit, but sometimes you'll just find like a bag of like a bunch of red candles that are unused and like go for it. Just cleanse it when you come home.
Exactly.
And how I do that is I will light some incense and I'll grab some salt. Maybe if I want, I'll just sprinkle the salt on the items and kind of rub around in it, rub it around in the smoke. But you can also just kind of make your own holy water and use the water with the salt and then kind of sprinkle that on the items. Like, and it might actually need to be physically washed or ran under some water if you did get it used, you know?
It's a good thing you said salt because, you know, salt is also good at taking scents like smells away. So like if you, and old dust. So if you put it in a paper bag and then shake the salt around, it'll get some of that grime off and also take away any of those bad smells that may come along with a used item.
Nice. I didn't know that about the smells. Very cool.
Yeah.
Another thing to look for, I would say like little boxes that you could use for your tarot cards I found there. Old bottles and jars for, you know, like witches bottles or just holding your little elixirs and herbs and things like that. What else could you really
cast
find?
iron pots. Yeah, I was going to say cast iron. Yeah, because that stuff is expensive, man. And you can just bring it home and make it what you want. Like hot glue something on it to make it look really cool and make it look like a witch's cauldron.
Right. Because cauldrons, they're essentially kitchen items. So when you go and you buy yourself a kitchen item that kind of looks like a cauldron, like you've saved yourself probably $50, I swear, because sometimes you could go into just find like a little, I don't even know what they're called because I'm not someone who cooks that often, but it looks like it's like a little Mexican little holder that you can like cook in or whatever. And you can use that as your cauldron. And if it was marketed to witches, I think that it would have a huge markup because it has like a pentagram on it or whatever and it's imported. Right. But, you know, kitchen stuff is everywhere. So it's just a really good substitution for a cauldron because you can safely put fires.
Exactly. I bought a $5 cast iron wok. That's what I'm using.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I've never spent the money on an actual cauldron. I wanted to once and they were like sold out. Like it just hasn't ever been meant to be. But I feel like the kitchen aisle is kind of a great place to look for that. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I thought of another thing too that you could do is that if you wanted to have like a pentacle, you can make one yourself by either finding like a round or a square piece of wood and making it what you want, or maybe even you find a ceramic or wood floor tile, which I've found at thrift stores before, or even a garage sale. Like I remember I bought a box of tiles for like $2, and you can make whatever you want on there. I think I painted and used Mod Podge so that it stayed, the decoration stays on there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is a cheap way to get like an altar tile. Another place too that is good to go check out would be craft stores. I used to regularly go to like stores like Hobby Lobby and Michael's back in my cosplay heavy days, and you'll be surprised the things they have there. Sometimes in the charms you'll see triquetras and pentagrams and, you know, really witchy things. Just go when stuff is on sales and watch when stuff goes on sales, because every week craft stores will have or like not one type of item, but like maybe 5 or 6 types of items all like half off. So just go during those times. They always have cute boxes there. They have cute jars there. They have candles there, twine and rope. So a lot of things that you end up using in rituals, like, oh, I really need red twine or I really need white twine. Like just go there. You'll have a lot of options dimensions to have different correspondences, and it's not that expensive.
Right. Same with garage sales. Like if you find one that's like, oh yeah, we have all this leftover stuff from our garage. I've seen that too, where I'm like, oh, you just have this box of rocks for 20 cents. Okay, thanks.
I love that. And I feel like that's only, like that would be Oregon, just a box of rocks.
Yeah, I think when I was getting married, I found a whole box of seashells and I bought it. It was only $1 and I was using it to put on the tables at my wedding for the reception.
Because that's so
Yeah.
you, and it's a lovely, cost-effective, beautiful thing. Like nature made those, and they're so individual, like little pieces of art. So I love that.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, like anytime we would go to some sort of nature place, like to the beach or camping with my family, they would just start smuggling like river rocks, and they would like smuggle plants sometimes. They'd be like just taking it, and they'd be like, we're just gonna put it in the garden. And so like now we have these awesome like rock paths in the garden, and I'm just like, are we supposed to be taking this from a state park? But you know what? Nature's great.
Right.
You know, multiple.
I have that kind of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a really big piece of obsidian that we found that way. I found it in a creek when I was a child, and my dad said I could keep it.
Nice.
It was huge too.
Yeah.
Just a big giant piece of obsidian.
That's really cool. I've never been that fortunate to find an obsidian or crystals. I think I've mentioned bitterly on this podcast before.
I'm so sorry. We just haven't had an opportunity to go out together.
Maybe I need you. You're my lucky person.
We're
other
gonna go
items
hiking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go on a crystal hike. Instead of mushroom hunting like all the other hipsters, we'll just start this crystal hunting.
Yes.
Cool.
I love it.
I was gonna say other items that I like to look for and is seasonal stuff, because I do like to welcome the seasons and the solstices and stuff like that. So be seasonal. If you want to do an altar that's seasonal, bring in the orange leaves, and you can do like a leaf mandala on your altar, which I've done before. I like to bring in stuff like acorns, fallen flower petals, feathers are super awesome. I love to see what bird friends come by and what kind of feathers they leave me. There's so many things that we could use from nature, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even grass. I've used grass and twigs. And yeah. And you can even make like a witch's broom out of twigs from a park or something.
Yeah. I had a friend who does that. And she's like, yeah, I always make my own besoms and hanging above my doorways. And I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Just collecting a bunch of sticks until you can make it into something. I've never done that.
I haven't either, but I have wanted to do it. So I don't know what's stopping me.
Right? Because sometimes you find that stick. It's just like, this is a good stick.
Yeah.
I've got to start a stick collection.
Yeah. My dad, when he's at the beach, he likes to get driftwood and then he carves it into stuff. And it was making me think that I would want to do one and carve it into a wand.
That'd be really cool. I wish I was good enough to do something like complicated, like a god and goddess little statue.
That would be so cool.
But I'd be lucky to get like a wand, you know? Just like a straight piece of wood.
Like, I say that I'd like to whittle one down, but I'd have to be really careful to not like chop my finger off because I'm really good at stabbing myself.
I know. I'd be scared, honestly.
Like, this wand literally has my blood in it.
Oh, yeah. It's been baptized in blood.
Yeah.
Another place that I think is the bomb, if you want herbs, go buy those herbs in bulk at the grocery store.
Yeah. I actually just did that yesterday. I did grocery delivery and they brought me a container of tea leaves or bay leaves that I spent I don't know, less than $1 on.
Right? It's so cheap. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And bay leaves, if you don't know, you can write like a little one word or a little wish on there, or just hold it and pour your intention of a wish on there and then burn it. It makes like a cool crackle, and it's just supposed to help manifest wishes. I know that's one way you could use bay leaves, and so that's really cool that you got a whole little bundle.
Yeah, and they smell so good.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when the smell when they're burning. Just it's very pleasing. And I found out that the store sells, at least our local store did, they sell sage leaves that way too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So grocery stores are not a bad place. They also usually have like a religious candle section, so hit that up. Look for a cauldron while you're there.
Absolutely.
I was also thinking about like stuff that you might just have already that is technically a desirable witchcraft ingredient. And that would be, for me, black cat hair, because I have a lovely long-haired black cat. And you can use black cat hair, black cat hair for like success and luck spells and protection. So don't like pluck your cat or anything, but just pick up what's around.
Right.
Or from the hairbrush.
Exactly. I thought that too. You know, I took an old sheet and made it into an altar cloth.
Yeah, I like that.
So,
I used to buy napkins from the Dollar Tree, the seasonal ones. And then I would use that as an altar cloth. And I remember all the candle wax that would just get in there. And then after that, I was like, really? How do people use altar cloths? So I feel like I can't burn a candle without having some sort of plate under it.
Right. But they have all that at the Dollar Tree too. They even have those placemats for different seasons. So you can totally do all sorts of things from there. And make
you really can. Another thing you might just have at home are like eggs. So instead of just throwing away the egg shells, you can make sure they're dry and not all gooey. But like once they're dry, you can crush them up, and you can sprinkle that for protection, like on your doorways, your property lines, your magical circle. They're really, really good for protection, and apparently fertility spells, which makes sense, you know, seeing as if it's an egg.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Eggshells are something I want to start like saving and doing my own like little mix of, maybe doing a mix of the eggshells and like an herb, you know, or black salt.
I never thought of doing that.
Ooh, I really want black salt, and I think if you mixed it with the eggshells, that would be really a nice contrast.
That would be so cool.
Ooh.
Do you think you could make your own black salt? I don't know how to make it.
I don't either. I don't even know. Like, is black salt a different kind of salt?
I guess I was thinking you could take salt and then add food coloring to it to make it a different color.
I don't know if I'd want to mess with that, because then it would get your hands all nasty. Because I think that black salt is just an actual thing.
Actual salt.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I could be wrong. So there's a lot of things I think that we all have access to that you could get started with if you just wanted a few basics.
Right.
For me, it was always candles that I needed. Because I love having a candle for a ritual. And then it'd be like, well, I can't just have one. I have to have a god and goddess candle plus one working candle. So it was always just like candles were what I wanted to have on stock. And that's what I prioritized in my beginning journeys. Yeah.
So I told you about the time I made my own Egyptian oracle cards. Didn't I make that talk about that?
Yeah, you did. Which that's a big money saver. Just be your own oracle creator card.
Yeah.
That wasn't a word.
It was a lot of fun to do too. I feel like I just imbued like every thought into it, and they are like my go-to cards when I really want to.
Cool. I didn't know you've been messing with them.
Truth. Yeah, I've been using them like at least once a week, and nobody else uses them, only I do. So they were meant specifically for me. But like, I feel like they always give me the right answer and the right what I need to hear.
That's badass, because it's not like they're the most aesthetically gold leafed cards, perfect cards. No. They're just like hand drawn symbols, and you kind of gave them their meaning. And so that probably makes them even more powerful because you created them and they're really resonating with you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like anybody could do that.
Incense, I feel like, are typically always cheap, but I think like wherever I live, I always have to find like my favorite incense place to go. And I don't know if I have that quite yet. So I've just been sticking to the sage incense that you introduced me to, which I just got some online. But do you have favorite places for incense?
I do like to go to these places on the coast, but really I've just been purchasing online, especially with us still being in a lockdown situation for however many years this is going to be. I feel like I've just been buying online and in bulk. Like I find that buying in bulk is so much cheaper. I need to do that with candles. Like I want to still make candles.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that it's not that expensive to really buy your own wax and to get all of the stuff to set it up. It just seems a little messy and I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know why.
Yes, it's like some hot work standing in
Mhm.
front of a hot pot and getting it melting
Exactly.
just right. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have the drive to do it, but I think it's awesome to anyone who actually does do it. And like, how powerful is that you're there in the process of creating the candle? That magic really could start right there.
Right. And I think some people make their own molds. Like I
Mhm.
see people who have shaped candles specifically. Like you think of all the cat candles or,
Yeah.
you know, different goddesses. You could make your own.
That reminds me too, though, like I know you don't just go online for your shopping. Got to give yourself some credit. You do go to the local stores.
I do.
And you did
yeah.
just recently make a trip to our local witch
Mhm.
store and supported them, which I think is really great to do. Support your local
Yeah.
businesses during this hard time, especially. So good for you.
Yeah.
What did you find
Yeah.
at our local witch shop? I forgot.
I found some throat chakra oil. That what I liked about her shop is that all of the products like the oil and the candles other witches in town make and then bring there and she lets them sell them, which I think is pretty awesome.
Yay.
Yeah. And so got that. I bought my son his first set of tarot cards because he's just been using old, you know, hand-me-down tarot cards, but I let him pick his own out. And I'm finding some good stones, like a really beautiful rose quartz. And everything was so cheap. It was like to find a beautiful round rose quartz that fit in the palm of my hand. I think it was only $1.50. And I thought that was cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is good. I will
Yeah.
have to make another trip down there. I was eyeing some
Yeah.
skull candles and I was like, oh, I want that
Yes.
black skull candle.
She just put out a bunch of goddess stuff recently too.
And that is Candlelight and Conjure here in Salem,
Yeah.
Oregon. So shout out to our local witch shop.
Yes. Love that place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's lots of ways, I think, to go about getting your witchy supplies. And you could even have lots of ways of getting witchy information. For me, I really
Mhm.
liked books in the beginning, and I would go to my used bookstores and kind of check out their new age
Mhm.
section. I would always, like, in the beginning, be like scared to ask, like, where's the witch books? But you can just be brave, go find them. You're not a freak, you know. Chances are you'll bump into somebody who starts asking you questions. That's happened to me a lot when I'm in the bookstore. Someone will just like find me and they'll be like, "Whoa, do you like believe in this stuff? Will you tell me about it?" And you're just like, "Whoa, calm down." I remember one time I was looking at candles, like just like the regular glass, like 7-day candles in some sort of, it was like an Indian store where they had like all the Indian food and everything like that. And I just went there for the candles. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, "What does this candle mean? What do you use it for?" And I was like, whoa, how is he pegging me? Like, how, is this what everyone buys these candles for? It's not just me. Like, I just thought I was the only one. And so like, I told him, I was like, "Oh, I'm buying this candle because my dog's sick and I need her to get healthy. Da, 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 da. And then he just like looks at me and I'm just like, "Okay, bye."
See you around.
Yeah. So sometimes I have weird adventures when I'm buying this stuff. Like, I think other people are curious. Like, what are you doing? What are you using that for?
But I think that's what makes it fun. And a lot of times for me, I feel like it just comes out of the woodwork. Like maybe I went to the thrift store to get something completely different and bam, there I am getting something witchy that I can use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of finds you.
Mm-hmm. You never know. You never know if you don't try.
Yeah. The other sources that I could think of as far as information that's important for witches is the internet, which is free unless, you know, you have to pay for the internet, but unless you go to the library. But there's so many good, like, free resources for you to use if you want to get some sort of spell for some sort of ritual, you want to get anything. Just check it out.
Pinterest.
Yeah.
I found a lot of Pinterest, like how to craft your own different items, and they'll take you through kind of step by step, which is kind of nice because sometimes I like to be artistic, but I can't figure out the steps how to get there.
Yeah, I love Pinterest as a inspo.
Yeah. It's like, I could try to do this on my own, or I could get somebody to help me show me the basics.
Yeah, like once you see the idea, you're like, oh, I could do that with this. Like,
Right.
I would have never made my own pentagram wreaths had I not seen it on Pinterest. And when I saw that, I was just
Nice.
like, oh. And so I started making one for last Halloween, and I really wanted to have one for like every season,
That's
which was a
awesome.
Dollar Tree craft for me. I went to the dollar, got the dollar wreath, got like maybe 2 different colors of flowers. So there's another $2, and then some ribbon from the Dollar Tree, which is never that great. So I think I got my ribbon from the craft store, but
Mm-hmm.
that is
I
my
feel
cheap
like,
witchcraft.
yeah, I feel like I have a bunch of ribbon laying around that I found at a garage sale. And that's my thing, is like people throw so much away at a garage sale. Like they're just getting rid of everything.
I remember one time I went to this garage sailing event where like the whole neighborhood was like invited to do it for the whole
Mm.
weekend, and that was super fun.
Yeah, I know I've done just drive arounds too. We used to do a group of people with my work would go around and we do this garage sale bingo where it was like we created these sheets and it was like we put these crazy things on there that you would probably not be able to find, and then whoever created bingo got to get a free lunch or
That's
something
funny
afterwards.
because it's like, are you buying crap you don't even need just for the fun of it? Which it sounds like honestly a lot of fun. But then too, it's
Right.
like you could have bought yourself a lunch instead of bought those 5
Oh,
items.
no, we didn't buy them. We didn't buy
Oh,
the
you just had to
stuff.
find
We
it?
just searched for it. Yeah, we just had to find it and take a picture of
Okay.
it. Yeah. And then
I like it.
and yeah, but anyways, on those kind of trips, we didn't even know where the garage sale was. We just picked a town and drove around the town until we saw the signs that pointed us where to
Wow, you guys are an adventurous crew.
go. Yeah.
That's fun. I I like looking at used stuff. I think part of it is the hunt, and you never know what
Hmm.
you are gonna find. Plus, you're getting like a good bargain, and it's
Right.
better for the environment when you buy used items.
Right.
I feel like I'm just gonna go on a shopping tangent, so maybe we should stop me. I'm like, I love shopping and I love things.
I feel like I love shopping too, but I'm not. I've been in the business of getting rid of
That's good.
things. I'm recondoing kind of my whole
Mm-hmm.
house. So I was like, this no longer brings me joy.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
That's been my thing. Thank you so much. And I just went through and I had a hard time in high school, mostly because I didn't love myself. And so uh, I got rid of all of my yearbooks.
I did too.
And it's crazy because I started at first like ripping pages out and burning
Wow.
them, but then I started feeling like the magic coming off of it as I was doing it without even realizing it. And I was like, maybe I should just throw them out. I don't want to cause any harm on anybody in these books.
Yeah, I remember when I had to move basically during the divorce. That's a major purge moment where you have to make a lot of decisions. It's like, do you need this in your new
Mhm.
life? Do you want this in your new life? And so it was very freeing. And like when I got to the
Yeah.
yearbooks, it was like the yearbooks were right next to the diaries, and the diary was like, okay, diaries are coming. Yearbooks, I was
Mhm.
like, honestly, I was the same in school. I did not love myself. I don't really have good associations, and the ones that I do, they're my memories. I'm not even represented in my yearbook. You know what I mean? There's like one picture of me.
Right.
I look stupid, and I think they
Yeah.
misspelled my name. So, and I wasn't like super
Right.
popular where I had like all these people signing my book, like, and it's just stupid little things like "Have a good summer," So there really
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
anything attached to them other than like feeling like you were a little outcast. So honestly, getting rid of
Mhm.
those was freeing. I don't need that in my life.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm slowly going through and doing that kind of
Mhm.
thing. Like I had held on to this old bottle for the longest time. And this is going to sound so crazy, but my first husband and I, we were friends for years before we even started dating. And we went out to the movies, and I always kept the drink. I don't know if you remember this drink. It's called Clearly Canadian, and it's
No.
kind of like the sparkling water. And so I remember that I got this drink. It was my favorite one. It was like blackberry or marionberry. And I took the jar and then I filled it with potpourri that your sister had given me for Christmas. And I just always held it and used it as a decoration. And then when I was going through and getting rid of things, I came across it and I was like, it just holds so many memories. Not that they're bad. They were really good, but I think it's time for me to let go.
Right.
So that maybe I could let go of that part of myself. So I just took it out. I put it in a plastic bag and I smashed it with a baseball bat.
I love how destructive you get.
And then I threw it in
I don't think Marie Kondo said to smash it with a bat.
I know, but I was releasing it and I was saying thank you. But I didn't want anybody else to have it. I just wanted to say
that witch's bottle. You released the spell.
I know, but it wasn't a spell so much as it was about the memories. And I felt like I was still holding on to past memories of my first husband.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I forgive myself for all the bad shit that I've done during this time, the time that I was married to him, and I just smashed it and released my pain.
I like that. Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go through my next box of like my childhood and high school and all the little things that I've held on to. And some of it, I'll probably still keep because it does mean something to me. But I feel like I'm ready to like burn my senior book with all my senior memories in it, because there were some that were good. And then after that, a lot of pain happened. So I was like, I'm still holding on to a lot of that pain. And as part of my shadow work, I want to burn it and release it and let it go.
Yeah, very cathartic.
Yeah.
So I love that you have a burn list, essentially, to burn.
Yeah. I'm like, it's funny because I have made a burn pile in my garage. I'm like, this is getting burnt. This is getting burnt. Oh,
my God.
This is getting smashed.
So when you're doing your burnings, do you do them in your garage? Because I know when I've done shit like that, like it gets extremely smoky.
Outside.
A smart woman.
Yeah. I have a barbecue grill out there, and I have just been burning things on the grill.
We're not recommending people be pyros, but we're recommending that people be pyros.
Yeah. To do it safely. Like, I've always got a hose nearby. I'm not trying to light, the whole house on fire.
Yeah.
Just this stuff.
And then it's just gone, not just sitting in a dumpster or in a landfill. Like sometimes it is nice to just know you destroyed it.
Right. And a lot of times, like, I'm saying my piece about it and forgiving myself for the pain that I've caused, because I may be able to forgive somebody else and forgive myself. But I can forgive myself more easily than somebody else. I feel like I have to tell that truth.
Yeah, because you can relate with yourself. Like, oh, you were just so mad you weren't thinking right. But when other people do it, it's just like, really?
Right.
How dare you?
Plus, like, I know that some of the pain that I caused myself literally was my own mind doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, honestly, who isn't their own worst enemy, or who doesn't hold themselves back? And for me, witchcraft has been a tool to not attempt to hold myself back and to work on the shadows, cleanse the shadows, and try to be more self-aware of what you're doing wrong. But it's hard because it's so easy to not love yourself, especially like we're talking about in our early developmental years, that big struggle and finding yourself, and just all the stages in life. We really have to turn off the brain chatter, you know what I mean? And just like tell yourself that everything's okay and it's just brain noise.
Right.
Well, should we wrap it up for today's
episode? Hopefully you guys love this episode. We like kind of keeping it easy and keeping it light, so we were glad to have you along.
We will be posting new episodes every single Wednesday. If you haven't listened to season 1, you can go find that on our blog, cousinscoven.home.blog. If you'd like to sign up for our newsletter, you could do that while you're there as well. And for all of our current stuff, that's going to be on Podomatic. And we would love it if you could come check out our Patreon, where we do at least 2 after shows a month. And you can just join us for a laid-back, continued conversation that we film after the regular podcast.
Absolutely. And we also have meditation music on there now. Guided meditation. May you find happiness in your heart, love for yourself, and join each other. Blessings to all.